Hi, my name is Oscar, and this year I'm quite a shy, introverted sophomore student. As a result of this, I don't have many friends at school, and I certainly never feel comfortable going out for gatherings. And instead, what I do is I play the piano to calm myself. Now, as a person with symptoms of atypical depression and anxiety, I never really understood what the fuss with staying indoors during the COVID lockdown was about. I guess I'm one of the brighter students in the grade, or so my classmates tell me. So my question to you now is, did you really take everything that I said to be true? If you said yes, well, that indeed was I, Oscar, but there's just another Oscar that I'd like you to meet. So allow me to reintroduce. My name is Oscar, and I'm quite an outgoing person. Although social outings were never my thing, I love debating, especially attending multiple tournaments and making friends there. Public speaking has always been a hobby of mine, but not so much communicating within a group project setting. And I absolutely hate piano practice, but finally, I love language learning. So you now might be wondering, why is this guy telling us so much about him? Well, today I would like to propose a theory to you all. I'm sure most of you have heard of the saying of being two-faced, or to describe somebody who will speak ill of you behind your back, or hurt you in other ways without you knowing, and such. So my theory for you today is this. We are all two-faced people, but not just two-faced. I think we have many faces living inside of us, which I like to call personas. Hence, the realization of the imposter syndrome gave birth to the persona theory. I think that different versions of ourselves exist within our body to create us human beings as a whole. Now, as per my introduction, you've only witnessed one of my personas, the public speaking Oscar persona. Now, with regards to personas, even to this day, or one of my personas at least, still struggle with group work, and I'm especially vulnerable when people don't take the time to listen to me. And while this may have recently occurred with me not having my voice heard and no decisions being made based on my behalf, I actually learned a lot from this experience. But the fact is, even after learning more about social interaction, I still feel insecure about who I am. And in recent years, I decided to do certain things that completely changed the course of my life, such as deciding to become a public speaker, which is why I'm here today. Now, I don't want to use this platform to tell you all about myself, but instead my message to you is that despite doing things that peers tell me that they would be proud of doing, I still feel insecure about being who I am. I feel like doing these things aren't enough to land me into university or make me a qualified person to run a startup, and at times I feel like I've lost my meaning. So if you haven't guessed already, what I just described is commonly referred to as the imposter syndrome. Now you may ask, what is the imposter syndrome? Well, the imposter syndrome is a constant feeling which suppresses ourselves and almost acts like a self-gaslight in certain situations that tells us we're stupid. It tells us we're incapable, we're unworthy, we're dull, we're common, or even just success avoiding us in general. We see ourselves as imposters and not as people who can actually accomplish things despite knowing how capable we are. We believe we're a counterfeit to those competent around us. And the issue here is that all the little anxieties that stress us cause us to see ourselves from the inside. But our image of others are generally limited to what we observe and what they share, but never the little anxieties that bother them. Now, these feelings are actually quite common, and as much as 70% of the world, or 7 in 10 people, feel negative sentiments despite being quite successful and accomplished. We all know people like Albert Einstein, consistently referred to as the smartest person to ever exist, or Michelle Obama, the former First Lady of the United States, and even a childhood star I grew up watching on TV. Emma Watson, actor of Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series. These three famous people all confirm to have the imposter syndrome. Now, quoted from Emma Watson herself, she expresses, "It's almost like the better I do, the more my feeling of inadequacy actually increases, because I'm just going, any moment, someone's going to find out I'm a total fraud and that I don't deserve any of what I've achieved." Now, she almost quit her role as Hermione Granger because of those feelings. Now, with that being said, please just think to yourself, if you've ever been recognized by somebody for doing something virtuous, it could just be standing up for your friend or winning an award somewhere. Now, how about this? Have you ever felt feelings tell you that you don't deserve this recognition? And finally, please once again keep this to yourself. How many of you have talked to another person about these feelings? So the thing here is, these feelings are quite prevalent, but there are most definitely ways to cope with the imposter syndrome. So referring back to perspectives, we see ourselves from the inside but others from the outside. We don't know what others are going through, but it certainly helps us to imagine ourselves in their situation. Our minds psychologically will work the same way, and tricking ourselves into believing this is the greatest realization that other people, and especially famous ones who accomplish many things, like Einstein and his theory of relativity, also feel this way. We feel equally as anxious, scared, paranoid, and sometimes even stupid. But at the same time, we are just as determined to prove this wrong, which is why it's so important to share these feelings with those close to us. But now that I've told you my story, it's time for you to share yours. And instead of teaching you how to suppress yourselves of imposterism at desperate times, I'll let you decide how you go about seeing yourself. But what I will do for you is part with another introduction. My name is Oscar, I'm 15 years old, and there's a lot I don't understand in society. It feels like I can behave as different people at times, and I stress all the time others compliment me for being a competent student because there are so many more personas that I try to counterfeit because I'm afraid of hurting my reputation, and I'm afraid that people won't be used to seeing another side of me. But most importantly, I am proud of who I am. I am proud of the 20, 50, or perhaps even 100 personas living inside of me, because as I continue to discover more about myself, I'm proud to share with you my theory about personas. I'm proud to admit that I have the imposter syndrome because these personas make up me. They are part of myself and they define who I am. They together are Oscar. Thank you.